Ready? Facebook, hello. I am Dr. Brett Spradlin. This is Divine Design Natural Health, and we have a crowd ready for you. I swear, every two weeks, every time we have a crowd, they just scare me. This crowd is out of control. So, Dr. Brett Spradlin, Divine Design. We are here for an event tonight, a wellness workshop. We call it WellWorks for short. And we're talking about a very important topic everybody's dying to know about, how to eat cheap and live sick. Don't you all want to know how to eat cheap and live sick? Wow, crickets.
Sure, yeah.
Crickets.
Yeah.
Well, I had to pick a provocative title because if I called it How to Eat Healthy and Live Well, how many of you would have shown up? Crickets. Oh, one of you. You're lying. No, I'm just kidding. Crickets, right? But if you call it a provocative title, if you know all the Facebook ads and all the emails that you get, the one substance hiding in your kitchen cabinet that causes cancer. Click here now to find out what it is. You know, they lead you. They lead you with the mystery. They lead you with the, click here for what famous so-and-so said to so-and-so right before they served their papers, you know, the housewives of New Jersey or whatever it is. It's all a scandal and it's all crazy. And it's all about giving a little bit of a provocative kind of a mystery so people go, eat cheap and live sick. Well, what does that mean? So just to calm the storm, this isn't about eating cheap and living sick. It's satire. That would be an example of satire, or what some people would say tongue-in-cheek. So we're going to talk about tonight how people eat cheap and live sick. But really the whole message is how can you live longer and prosper and not be sick, and how can you eat healthy? So now that I've trapped you here and you can't leave with a provocative title, we'll get into it. But I do want to cover some of this because we were just talking. I was going through Facebook. We're going through the Divine Design Natural Health catalyzing statement, and I'll go through this here in its entirety, and then we'll get right back to what we were talking about before the camera rolled. So the reason why we exist, the reason why we're here, is in the sacred service of saving lives ahead of time, this practice, and the future practices that are going to come forth from this, and the other people that are going to be helping us out soon, in the sacred service of saving lives ahead of time, we are globally freeing billions of beings through all natural, yes I said it, biblical health. We will have, there will be one of these classes soon explaining what is biblical health. Nobody knows that. Hardly anybody that I talk to even knows that. And we are in Cleveland, Tennessee, in the middle of the belt buckle of the Bible Belt. And I hear more misinformation coming from the pulpits about healthcare than I hear coming sometimes from the TV, which is kind of disheartening. So we're going to talk about that in future classes. What exactly is biblical healthcare, and how can you define it, and how can you tell, and what does that mean? So we are in a sacred service of saving lives ahead of time by freeing people's minds with truth and freedom, and telling them the truth about what's going on with health and physiology and the industry, the health industry out there, through all natural biblical healthcare. So there's kind of four parts to that. That's why we exist. Now, to get back to Facebook, everybody here needs to know this. People do not go to a doctor. They do not go to a physician because of pain or dysfunction. So I'll ask all of you, and Facebook, I'll say this too, I just remembered. Sorry about the audio. Please, you don't need to comment. I know that we don't have the regular equipment, so we apologize ahead of time. Technical difficulties, but it's going to be a little lower tonight. Crank your volume, put it on your big screen, and just deal with it, because I'm having to deal with it. The show goes on. So what I'm saying is people have pain or dysfunction. They go to a doctor, but they don't go to a doctor because of the pain or the dysfunction. Why do they go to the doctor? Anybody?
Answers. They have symptoms.
For answers, you said?
Yeah.
They have symptoms, yes. But think about, I get to answer that, brother. You know the rules. No, I'm crazy. I'm just kidding. It's the president. Yeah. It might be. I'd be really shocked, wouldn't I?
Because they believe that the doctors have the answers, and they don't.
Part of it. But why?
They don't want to
Yeah.
be sick.
Huh?
They don't want to be sick.
They want to be sick. That's the closest one I've heard so far. I'll tell you right here. People never go to a doctor because of pain or dysfunction. They go to a doctor because of what the pain or the dysfunction is preventing them from doing in their lives. Very important you understand that. So when somebody has a debilitating illness and they can't get, if they have chronic diarrhea and they're afraid to get in a car with someone and travel somewhere, they'll go to a doctor. If they're not wanting to get on a plane because of a similar situation, or if they're not wanting to go outside because their skin is ravaged with eczema, psoriasis, acne, things like that. If they don't want to go out in public because they're depressed and anxious. If they have pain that drives them into an emergency room, that's what we're talking about. The pain that stops them from picking up their grandkids. See? Everybody needs to understand it's not the pain or the dysfunction that drives people into the arms of a physician or an ER or a walk-in clinic or whatever. It's the fact that I can't work and I need to work. It's those things. Everybody needs to understand that. I heard a story today that kind of illustrates the same point. And what we're going to talk about, the solution to the problems that I present to you, what we're going to talk about tonight is this. A friend of mine had a dog, has a dog, I should say, who, and equate this to a human patient as well. It's the same thing. Had a canine that was just having a regular yearly checkup. They take the dog in. The vet notices that the dog is half a pound. I guess a lot of weight because it's only a 9-pound dog. So the vet notices that the dog lost a half a pound in the last year. So then the vet orders a blood test to try to discern what the problem is. The blood test comes back and they say, well, your dog's having kidney failure. So there's really nothing we can do. There's drugs, there's surgeries, there's this and that. But the owner noticed, or had not noticed any difference in the behavior, the energy level, or the eating habits of the dog. What am I saying with this? I'm saying that most people don't see a symptom in themselves. And you hear this every day. People wake up and they don't feel right, they go to the doctor, or they get a routine checkup or a mammogram or a colonoscopy or something, and all of a sudden they're just eaten up with cancer, but they didn't feel any, they didn't sense it, they didn't feel it, they had no other symptoms. You hear this all day long. Guy's totally healthy, goes out for a jog, falls over dead from heart attack. You've heard this. Raise your hand if you've not heard that. Anything like that. Right. Everybody in this room's heard that. The fact of the matter with the dog is the owner had not noticed any difference in the behavior or the eating habits or the activity level or the running around of the dog. The dog wasn't screaming, wasn't crying. The fact of what I'm saying is this. There are symptoms. Everybody in this room has organs that are weaker. Everybody in this room is aging. And if you're not moving toward health, you're moving towards illness. If you're not actively doing something, if you're not actively eating healthy, staying away from chemicals, if you're not taking supplements to replace things that are no longer in the diet, if you're not getting adjusted, if you're not getting lasered, if you're not doing saunas or detoxes or somehow detoxifying your body, if you're not seeking some way to move towards health, what is the automatic default opposite direction you're going into? Are you going towards health or sickness?
Sickness.
What are most people doing?
Going towards sickness.
They're going towards sickness. Everybody in this room has organs that need help.
So
Everybody-
for somebody like me, where I'm doing all this stuff, I'm on a plant-based diet, and I even make my own supplements and do all the right stuff. but
Make your own supplements?
Yes.
Okay, we'll have to discuss that later.
Yeah.
So there's things that are missing in your diet. There's organs and glands and tissues of animals and plants at some point, somehow, somewhere. If you're sick, you're missing something. Or there's only two ways that sickness can occur. You're either too much bad stuff or too little good stuff, or a combination of the two ways. And we'll discuss that here when we get farther down the road. We'll have time for questions later on. But sometimes it can be that you're trying to do too much on your own. You need to outsource some things to people who've seen
That's why I'm here.
you've seen the clinical.
That's
right.
why I'm here.
Exactly. Good. I'm glad to hear that, because sometimes you're going to have to outsource things. You can't always roof your own house and plumb your own house and do your own electric and paint everything and pour the driveway and do the grass. You have to outsource some stuff. Nobody's an island unto themselves. Question from you or Facebook?
No, we just need to say a few hellos real quick.
Oh, okay. Good. Yes.
So loud and clear, Colleen Williams Pope,
Of course, North Carolina crew. See, people are watching from North Carolina. Thank you, Colleen.
Virginia Collier,
Virginia, yes.
Justin Gregory,
Justin Gregory, yes.
and Rachel Marlowe.
Fabulous, the whole family. Oh,
and then
Rachel.
also Virginia said, I can hear you and the
Oh.
phone just fine.
Perfect. Thank you. That even made me say it louder right there. Thank you, Virginia. That's good to know. We've gotten a lot of complaints before because the quality goes up with the lights and the computer and the fancy cameras and stuff like that. And then if we have to drop back and throw a pass from the end zone with the phone, people complain, and it's like, just watch the thing. So thank you for saying that. That's good. So does that all make sense? I want you to keep that in mind when we're talking about the things we're talking about tonight. The story about the dog and the story about you're either going towards health or you're going towards wellness. Or you're going toward illness. You're either going toward illness or wellness. Okay?
Or you're stuck in the middle.
There is no stuck in the middle.
That's what
You're aging, and if you're not doing something, it's like you're either building an empire or you're destroying one. There is no middle ground. It might feel like you're in the middle.
don't agree, but
You're either building something or you're destroying it. You're either moving forwards or you're going backwards. Parking does nothing. Parking means you're not even active. You're either moving forwards or you're being passively pushed back or actively going back. Most people are actively going back on purpose. Some people are trying to go forward. So I would say, I would disagree with you. I would say, I don't even know your name, so where's your name tag?
oh, Paul.
Paul, I would say, I disagree with you. If you're here right now, you're moving forwards. You're not stuck in the middle. Give yourself some more credit. You make your own supplements. You're eating right. You're eating a plant-based diet. That's 50% of the way ahead of most people. So you're not stuck in the middle, brother. You need to give yourself some more credit. Would everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
I agree.
Right, exactly. Oh, he's shaking his head. You're gonna be a tough cookie.
Yeah.
So that's a catalyzing statement. I want everybody to get that because I heard that story this morning and I thought, you know what? It's interesting. I heard that today about the dog. Most people are the same way, and I wanted to explain that in class tonight because I come across some of these things and some of these stories, and I think there's a reason why I'm hearing that right now. Somebody in this room needs to hear that. That dog had no change in behavior, but the blood test showed that there was something up with the kidneys. And so the owner said, well, the owner who just happens to do the nutrition, like what we do, said, we never would have found that without the blood test, but now we can move forward with getting her better. She couldn't communicate with me and tell me and bark to me and say, hey, I'm having a hard time going pee, or I'm waking up 5 times a night to go pee, or anything like that. She couldn't communicate with me, but at least with this technology, with the ability that we have to focus on what your body needs at that specific moment in time, you can move forward with health and you're no longer stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
powerful.
yeah, I have to agree with that because
Yeah.
that's part of it. I need to, I'm wanting to analyze what is it that I'm not doing because I'm doing so much and getting no better.
Right.
I mean, you know,
Okay.
I've almost got rid of my cancer, not quite, but it's gone. It's on its way out and did it all naturally.
Good.
And that kind of stuff.
Good.
But I'm just sort of feel like I'm stuck.
Okay. Well, that's okay. So that makes you come here and figure out the next step. That's a good place. So you're just by walking in the door here, you're ahead of 90% of people. So give yourself some more credit. I would have to give you some more credit. So let me blow through this folder real quick. You guys, this is the schedule. January, and those classes that I just talked about, they're all on Facebook. They're all on Facebook, everybody. The classes, the schedule is there on our Facebook page. If you do not like or follow our Facebook page, I'd recommend that right now because we're getting ready to do a lot of big things in the next couple of months. I've been telling all of y'all about for a while now. Social media, logo, website, there's a lot of changes that are coming up. But the January 14th class, that was the food truth. What do we eat? In other words, this semester of classes right here was kind of like the big frequently asked questions and the answers to those frequently asked questions. I always get that. What do I eat? Well, if I can't eat cereal for breakfast, then what am I supposed to eat? If I can't, if I can't do this and that for lunch, if I can't eat noodles and spaghetti, what am I supposed to eat? So of course we made it into an entire class. It's going to be on the website. It's going to be accessed through every new patient that comes in here. We're filming all these. We're doing videos with all these. It's going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to be unveiling. The next one was food store groceryology. So now you knew what to eat. We went to the store. We showed you how to get it. February 11th was the nutritional upgrades. All about this Vitamix, which I never, which we explained already. Facebook, Vitamix. We're doing a giveaway next class period, which is going to be 2 weeks from now. You win it by referring. So all of those people whose names we just read, speak up, tell people. This is all word of mouth. We don't advertise, and if somebody gets a hold of us through Google or Facebook or something, they have to come to one of these classes before we'll even accept them as a patient. February 25th, that is where you currently are, how to eat cheap and live sick. And then in 2 weeks, we're talking about diseases that don't exist. There's a ton of them. I don't know how many we're going to be able to cover, but diseases that don't exist. I'll just tell you right now, if you know people with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, irritable bowel, if you know people with arthritis, if you know people with MS and lupus and multiple sclerosis and all this stuff, if you know people with those problems, if you know people with type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes, I don't give a rip what it is. If you know somebody with a disease, get them here. You're not being told the whole truth on health. You are not being told the whole truth on longevity, and you can learn a lot of things. And by the way, just because somebody comes to one or two of these classes doesn't mean that they have the market cornered on healthcare and natural health. I've heard that a few times from people say, oh, I've come to a couple of classes. Well, this is a totally different one. We're talking about three times ago, 3 classes, we just talked about food. That would be like me going and talking to a financial planner for 2 hours and saying, oh, I know everything I need to know about finances. This is a huge topic. So, just because you come tonight, or Facebook, just because you've been before, I want to challenge you. Come on down and check out some of this other stuff. What we're going to do in the future is we're going to do 60 minutes or 45 minutes on Facebook, and then we're going to go off Facebook for 15, 20, 30 minutes, because how many of you know that Facebook's laying the hammer down on certain people, certain topics, and certain things?
Right.
Along with Instagram, along with Pinterest. So there's certain things that you just can't talk about anymore. We're going to bypass all that, and we're going to go off camera, off Facebook, and we're going to tell some things that you will want to be in this class for, because I'm not going to tell you on Facebook. So just take that in a loving way, Facebook, Mr. Zuckerberg. Then, if everybody wants to, we may or may not get to this tonight, but put this on your fridge, take this quiz, and turn this over, and you will see 146 ways that sugar is ruining your health. We probably will not get to this tonight, but the only other thing I wanted to discuss with you here is on this, right here, y'all need to read the testimonials. This is just 2 pages of 1 or 2 sentence testimonials. And then there's a letter here on nutrition. Why didn't my other doctors ever tell me this? Everybody needs to read that. And then the top 10 medical myths, things about medicine that you might need to reconsider. A couple pamphlets here. There's some more questions that you might want to ask, some interesting facts here. And then a letter that I wrote concerning why we're here, what we're doing, and how we can help you. And then there's just another couple of articles, along with a food log and a toxicity questionnaire. When people become patients here, we keep track of they keep track of their food. They write down everything that they eat. You are made of what you ate. When I look at you, I see your diet for the last couple of years. So every disease process has a nutritional component. End of story. Done deal. Drop the mic. Walk off stage. If you are going to a doctor or any type of physician or any type of health practitioner that tells you diet doesn't matter, you're in the wrong room with the wrong person. I'm sorry to tell you that, but your diet does matter, and here's how we know. Cancer, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, hypertension, the top 5 killers in the United States, everything. Every disease, but those top 5, they're all mediated by your diet. Every one of them. So y'all need to learn this and understand diet is a huge deal. You don't have to change overnight. We're not going to go Nazi on you and tell you no more bread, no more cake, no more candy and cookies overnight. You're going to get to the point where you just don't want that stuff. So that is a little overview on the folder that y'all need to read through. That took way too long, and I apologize. But anyway, we're getting right into the meat and potatoes of what we need to talk about. We are getting into, and one thing I do want to read too before we get into this is, I do this every time just so that people understand the power of what we're doing and how big of a deal this is. Like we talked about before, a lot of people just don't have any symptoms. A lot of people don't understand that health is a process. It's not a one-trick pony. It's not the same thing for every person. It's not a protocol for your fibromyalgia and your fibromyalgia and your fibromyalgia. Take the same drug, take the same supplements. That doesn't work. What happens is you have to get very specific with each person and figure out exactly what's causing the problem. Then you remove the problem and you rebuild the body. It's a very simple formula. So when we do that with people, we capture what's called testimonials. So even though that dog I told you about earlier couldn't really speak, but they're fixing the problem, these people can speak. I want to share something with you. And this is how we build a word-of-mouth, referral, friend and family-only practice where we don't rely on third-party reimbursements from insurance companies and where I don't advertise. This is how we do it. Before becoming a patient, I was a slave to my bowels, and that caused a great deal of anxiety when traveling. Notice that. Eating and visiting new places. I never knew if or when I would have a flare-up that would keep me from enjoying my day. People don't go to doctors for pain, they go to doctors for what? What the pain stops them from doing. Understand that. That was how she was before. How are you now? In just 2 weeks, my diarrhea is gone. I woke up happy with no pain or worries if I'll make it to the toilet or if I'll be late for work. I feel lighter and more free to enjoy and venture out more. Do you think that will change the quality of her life?
Yes.
Without Miralax or without Imodium or without a resection of the bowel with stitches and radiation and chemotherapy and everything, do you think that might change your life a little bit?
Yeah.
Perfect. Next, my son came in not feeling well at all, sore throat, achy, stomach hurting, whole 9 yards. He's about probably 8 or 10 year old-ish. And within 24 hours of adjustments and supplements, he was so much better and back to the energetic boy he is. No antibiotics, no steroids, no inhalers, no poisonous toxic pharmaceutical chemicals in your 8 or 10-year-old boy. It's very simple, and the next day he was feeling better. That happens regularly. That's just one example. Another one. In past years, during February, I would always have a flare-up of allergies or some immune response during the crazy Tennessee weather patterns, which we've been having recently. Oh, by the way, did everybody enjoy the sunshine today? For the first time since October, it seems like? Yeah.
I'd say we get a good old hallelujah for that.
Hallelujah for the sunshine. I'll take it. So they had, she'd always had allergies and flare-ups of immune problems. How are you now? It's the month of February and I've had 0 problems. First time ever, symptoms have been zeros across the board. Literally every single symptom she had was decimated and gone for the first time ever. She's been here maybe a year and a half. Inflammation and joint pain in my feet, hands, and elbows. Also severe TMJ. This was a gentleman 2 weeks ago. Now, how are you now? Severe TMJ. Anyone have that? Anybody?
What is that?
Severe temporomandibular joint dysfunction, right here. It's when you click or you have pain or clicking or pain and clicking in the jaw, debilitating. Can split your head wide open. It's horrible. Inflammation and joint pain in my feet, hands, and elbows, and also severe TMJ. This guy probably would have been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. That's what that sounds like on paper. That's probably what he would be diagnosed with. All of my symptoms have diminished greatly. Much of the pain from the symptoms that were distracting my daily routine and life is completely gone. And he's been here probably 3 months. 4 months, maybe 4 months. Next, almost done, with all the testimonials. I get excited about this because this is the bread and butter right here. This is how you ended up here. Right? You heard somebody who heard somebody who heard somebody, or you talked to somebody who had been here before, or you hopped on Google or Facebook and read what? Testimonials. Word of mouth, right here. I've been coming to Dr. Brett for 3 weeks and I've completely changed my eating. To my surprise, my 11-year-old daughter, who loves sweets and junk, has loved every healthy meal I've cooked. Huh. Imagine that. The other night, when I made eggplant parmesan, she said, "Mommy, this doesn't even taste healthy. This tastes like a restaurant." 11-year-old daughter. When we change one person's life, what other lives do we change? Do we change kids? Do you change grandkids? You change a whole generation? Can you change eternity? Yeah. Ha. I feel that. How's she doing now? She's hardly eating sweets over the last 3 weeks, and when my mom took her to get ice cream from Baskin Robbins, she said her stomach hurts so bad she doesn't know if she ever wants ice cream again. I was like, yes, thank you, Jesus. So, not only are we going to save her health problems, how much money are we going to save them in diagnoses and CAT scans and MRIs and blood labs and x-rays and time off work and lost productivity? Thousands, tens of thousands, millions perhaps, depending on the diagnosis. People get diagnosed with certain diseases and will move halfway across the country to be near Johns Hopkins or Mayo Clinic and the oncologists. But what do you think? Wouldn't it just be simpler to change up your diet? How much money do they spend doing that? How much trouble do they go? Oh, eating healthy foods too. It takes too much time, and it's too much trouble, and it's too much money. Well, no, I'll tell you what's too much money, too much trouble, too much time, moving across the country to live next to your oncologist so you can get chemo and radiation. That's what that is. That takes time and money, doesn't it? Last one, okay, well, we've got so many, I just might keep going. I don't know. I've lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks following the diet and nutritional supplements with plenty of exercise. We noticed our German Shepherd limping. We'll go ahead, yeah. All right. We noticed our German Shepherd limping. Took her to the vet. X-rays confirmed she had hip dysplasia. We brought her to Dr. Brett and started nutrition and chiropractic with cold laser. It's a German Shepherd. This isn't the name of the person. This is a dog. Now, a few months later, she has no limp at all. She's never looked better either. Her coat is soft and shiny, and some digestive issues she had previously had all cleared up. And she loves the supplements. What's the point of that one?
It works.
It works with humans, but why would it work with dogs?
Basics.
Huh?
It's truth.
Why would it work with dogs?
It's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
Don't dogs have the same physiology as humans? Don't they eat and reproduce Aren't they made of the same dirt that you were pulled out of? Huh. So physiology works the same way, folks. And the drugs work the same way too. Whether it's on a dog or whether it's a cat, whether it's a human. All right, so getting into the topic of what we're talking about tonight. How to eat cheap and live sick. I'm going to say this all tongue-in-cheek. This is kidding. This is satire, okay? I have a little bit of a theatrical background, so I like to make things a little showy and a little flamboyant. And on the flight the other night, last night, thank you. On the flight last night, coming back from, I'm a huge Queen fan. I used to listen to Queen quite a bit. And on the flight last night, coming back from Dallas, I was watching Bohemian Rhapsody, which I didn't even know won all these awards, and the head guy, the main guy who played Freddie Mercury, I didn't even know, but it was a pretty good movie, and it really chronicled Queen last night. And I watched that movie, and I realized how flamboyant and what a great showman Freddie Mercury was, and I thought, okay, he inspired me a little bit, so I'm going to be a little flamboyant. Is that all right with y'all?
Come on.
Okay. All right. If you want to eat cheap and live sick, there's a few things that you are going to have to do. And I need everybody on board with this. You need to understand how important it is. If you want to live sick and you want to die young, I'm going to give you about 8 or 10, depending on how much time we get through here. I'm going to give you about 8 or 10 ways to eat cheap and live sick. Okay? Now, if you want to live sick and die young, I have a checklist here too, and I'll just go back through a class that I taught back, and I do this 2014, 15, 16. I've taught this class a number of times. How to live sick and die young. Make sure you that you remove necessary organs. Make sure you do that. If it's an appendix or a gallbladder or tonsils or a uterus or ovaries or something, just make sure you get that taken out. Make sure you drink as much fluoridated water as possible. Make sure you consume artificial sweeteners. Make sure you get all of your recommended immunizations. Make sure you get chemotherapy, radiation, and drugs as often as possible. Stay out of the sun. Don't ever let people see you sweat. And try to look as beautiful as possible. That is how you live sick and die young. Any questions? Today, though, we're going to talk about how to eat cheap and live sick. Everybody interested in this? Want to eat cheap, live sick? Yes? No? So we're just talking about how to eat. Not necessarily how to live sick and die young. That's dealing with all of the other stuff. But today we're going to narrow it down, keep it simple, and make it just how to eat cheap and live sick. Number 1, I want you to consume as much as possible sugar water, such as diet sodas, regular sodas. I want you to drink as many electrolyte drinks as possible, Gatorade, Powerade, things like that. I want you to drink as much fruit juice and as much sweet tea as possible. And you need to put as much sugar as possible into your sweet tea. I want sugar in that thing so I want a spoon to stand up in it. That'd be really good. Now the great thing about this is you're going to save a bunch of money because all of the stuff I'm talking about, the sugar water, the diet sodas, the electrolyte drinks, the fruit juices, they're all cheaper than water. Aren't they? So I'm going to save you money. And you're going to eat cheap and you're going to live sick. Any questions on that one? Next, I want you to drink artificial sweeteners. Okay, everybody knows if you drink more artificial sweeteners, you're going to, now, what is that? Let's just define that term. Does everyone know what that is? The aspartame, the NutraSweet, the Splenda, the Sweet Glow, the Sucralose. It goes by many, many names. And that's just because there's so many great artificial sweeteners out there. They're all good for you.
So you don't, what about, so stevia is a bad one, or as far as you're concerned?
Well, I don't do it. We can get to that. That's a good question. Save that question for later. We'll get to that. Can you write that down, or just make sure we get the stevia? Because I don't want to lose my my flow here on my.
Yeah,
No,
I actually
get to
had
it.
artificial sweetener toxicity. I from doing too much of it.
Oh yeah, a lot of people do. Yep, absolutely, happens all the time.
It was bad.
So with artificial sweeteners, you'll lose weight and you'll have no chance of developing diabetes. They're good for you. They go by many names. You can pick whatever color you want. If you want one with a big long name, you can get it. Or if you want one with just a little tiny name like sucralose, you can have that too. And the beautiful thing about sucralose is it looks almost like sucrose, so you can kind of get it confused a lot. That's total. Just everything I'm saying from here on out is pretty much a joke. So I don't want anybody writing this down and saying, "Oh, this guy was telling me to drink all the artificial sweeteners."
Just write down, don't eat. Everything he says.
Yeah, everything I'm telling you right now from here on out for a little bit, it's all satire and it's all meant to be funny. So do not be taking notes on this saying drink all the artificial sweeteners. This is all tongue in cheek, okay? This is all tongue in cheek. I did this before the Live Sick and Die Young class, and people were taking me seriously. I thought, okay, let's back up. I had to re-explain half of it. Number 3, I want you to clip coupons for refined processed food-like substances. Okay? Now you're paying for the advertisements on TV, but the wonderful thing is you get a great discount when you clip the coupons. Yeah, see, these guys got it. If there's a food, now getting back to me being serious, if there's a food that has a coupon for it, the reason that they're giving you the coupon is because it's a crap food. You're never going to see a coupon for tomatoes and cucumbers. You're never going to see a coupon for bananas. You're going to see a coupon for crap food that was processed, refined, and offered on TV for millions of dollars of advertising and promotion. And then you're ended up paying for that when you buy that food, and so they'll give you a little kickback by saying, oh, here's a worthless piece of paper that represents 30 cents off your groceries. And then you'll spend your hard-earned time and money clipping those coupons out of said circular and then going and buying crap food, saving money on food that you're paying for to poison yourself. Okay? So, getting back to unreality, clip your coupons. For refined, processed food-like substances, you need to get that discount after you've paid for all those $1 million advertisements on TV. Everybody agree with that? Okay, good. I want you to next, number 4 here is purchase food from large corporations, okay? And you have to make sure that these large corporations have really crappy quality control. I want you to get as many diseased chickens and fish and cattle and lamb and beef and, you know, some of my favorite stuff is Vienna sausage and processed lunch meats and bologna. I can't even say it. I can't even say it with a straight face. Sausages, stuff like that.
You must
And
have
pork.
snort the nitrates.
Oh, yeah. I want you to be able to smell the nitrates coming off of it. Absolutely. But also eat as much pig and eat as much shellfish as you possibly can. Eat as much pork, eat as much ham, eat as much bacon, eat as much shellfish. Eat all that stuff that you can. Number 5, I want you to consume synthetic megadoses of nutraceutical supervitamins. And they should be manufactured. Make sure if you're going to choose a synthetic megadose supervitamin, make sure that it's made by one of the large pharmaceutical companies that owns it. Make sure it's owned by Bayer or Pfizer. Those are
Buy
the
it at
best
Walmart.
ones. Make sure you get your, oh, you stole my next one. Make sure that your synthetic megadose nutraceutical multivitamin poisons that are made by Bayer or Pfizer or GlaxoSmithKline, make sure you're buying them from a reputable place like Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, or other places that stock mainly millions of dollars of harmful, toxic pharmaceutical drugs. Make sure you support those companies, okay? How to eat cheap and live sick. I want you to eat foods that are advertised on television, eat foods that are made in large plants, and I want you to eat foods that are colored completely unnaturally, okay? You should do Crunchberry, you should do Skittles, you should do Starburst, you should do
We had
Hostess.
some new people join.
Ho-Hos.
You should. We just had like 2 new people join. You should
Oh.
make sure to mention something.
Oh,
They're
jeez.
probably like, what is he talking
Oh,
about?
they're gonna think he's lost his mind. Oh. This class is called, you'll catch on, just listen. I'm not gonna go back and explain, but this class, this event, this whole thing, I'm teaching a whole room full of people how to eat cheap and live sick. This is kind of a continuation of a class I did a long time ago called How to Live Sick and Die Young. But this is just not dealing with the living, this is dealing with just eating. So if you want to know how to eat cheap and live sick, stay tuned in. We just talked about how to eat foods advertised on TV. Eat only foods that are advertised. Facebook's breaking right now. I hope. I want you to eat only foods that are advertised on TV. Okay?
Have TV.
I want you to do eat foods that are made in plants, eat foods that are colored completely unnaturally. If there's an unnatural color that does not appear in nature anywhere, I want you to eat that. That means radioactive green Gatorade and crazy purple colored Powerade and stuff like that. I want you to pound that, drink it, buy as much of it as possible. And the electrolyte thing. Does anybody know what electrolytes are? Back from number 1. Anybody in this room know what an electrolyte is? Gatorade makes millions of dollars by confusing you.
It's actually antifreeze.
Well, part of it is. But an electrolyte is simply a big, long, giant word which could contain and mean vitamins and minerals. Electrolytes. It means salt and sugar. That's what it means. So if you sprinkle a little bit of salt into some water with a little bit of sugar, that's electrolyte. Doesn't sound as fancy, does it?
Yeah.
And it's not colored nearly as pretty. And you don't see $1 million athlete drinking it and sweating it out of their pores, do you? So electrolytes, don't be fooled by that. I wanted to explain that. Electrolytes. Nobody knows. Nobody can really, no one's ever been able to answer that question for me. What is an electrolyte? Well, you tell your kids, oh, make sure you get your electrolytes. Well, you don't even know what that is. It just means sugar and salt. That's all it means. That's all it means. Your electrolytes. Cool. Okay, now getting back to crazy talk. Facebook, you still there? If you want to eat cheap and live sick, here's a way for you to do it. Another way. This is number 7 or 8. If you're a parent, I want you to feed your babies formula rather than bother with the nuisance of breastfeeding. That's too messy and too crazy.
Amen.
We don't want you to do that. Amen. From the peanut gallery back here. Is this what you put up with? Is this?
Yes.
Oh yeah?
Okay.
Oh geez. Okay.
For years.
So yeah, make sure you feed your babies formula rather than bother with the nuisance of breastfeeding. And Nestle has this wonderful thing called nursery water. And it has high fluoride in it for babies to develop strong teeth. That's the truth, actually. That's the truth. Nestle has nursery water. It's actually called nursery water. And it has high levels of fluoride so the babies can develop strong teeth. I don't know any babies with teeth, do you? It has a picture of a cute kid right on the job. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You got kids?
Yeah.
Oh wait, that is your kid. Yes.
We'll
So
pass
you know-
out on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
She
Put her,
drank too much of the.
yeah, I put her, she listened to me for 30 seconds, went straight out, right? Wow. Nursery water, so you know what I'm talking about. High fluoride. Anyone ever seen a baby with teeth? Anybody seen a baby that needed higher fluoride?
Yeah, that's right. I'm better than anybody's.
Next, don't eat plants and animals, stay away. If you want to eat cheap and live sick, by all means, I'm telling you now, stay away from plants and animals. I can't even say it. Don't eat plants and animals. They're way too expensive. Instead, what you can do to save money is eat chemicals and preservatives. They're cheap.
Better living through chemicals, right?
Huh?
Better living through chemicals.
Better living through chemistry. Yes, 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 absolutely. Another way to eat cheap and live sick is I want you to eat as many genetically modified foods because they're all safe and they will feed the overpopulated out-of-space world that we're living on now. So the more genetically modified foods you can eat, the better, the more money you're going to save, you're going to eat cheaper, and you're going to live sicker. Does that make sense for everybody? Are you excited about eating cheap and living sick? Yeah?
I'm happy now.
Okay. So, and another way, this is the last way, and then I'm going to cover some foods that, we'll get back to serious land, I'm going to cover some foods. The last way that I'll share with you, if you want to eat cheap and live sick, go vegetarian. Or vegan. Take a pick. Go vegetarian or vegan. You'll eat cheap, you'll live sick, and there'll be very little health for you farther down the road. Now, we're going to cover the terrible 10. I want to cover those just real quick. If you want like the top 10 foods that you should probably stay away from, well, there's more than 10, but I'm just going to cover some real quick ones for you. Sweetened yogurt, Daniel, Yoplait. A lot of times they've got artificial sweeteners in them. Oh no, Danielle, are you? Oh, I thought you were making a face like, oh no.
I was, but at the child.
Oh, okay. Sweetened yogurt. What's good about yogurt is live bacterial cultures. That's a good thing. It helps your digestion. It repopulates your gut flora. But what's bad is high sugar. So like Dannon and Yoplait, Activia. They also have, most of them will have, if they say low sugar, no sugar, that means there's an artificial sweetener in it. If it says low fat or no fat, that means there's probably some trans fats in it. Okay? So pasteurized fruit juice, it's a dead food. Once you pasteurize it, it's dead. That decreases the enzymes. Soy milk, another one. Higher in hormones, higher in thyroid problems, higher big deals going on with menstruation for women. So soy milk, genetically modified, 99% of it in the United States is genetically modified, so you're going to have a hard time with soy. Tofu, lots of vegetarians eat tofu. Lots of vegetarians eat edamame and a lot of other soy-based things. That is also another reason why vegetarianism and veganism is going to be a hard time for people. There's really only 3 or 4 types of people that I will not treat. And it's not from hating vegetarians or anything like that. The deal is, you have to decide, is it an ethical thing where they don't like the treatment of animals, or is it a religion thing? And vegetarianism and veganism comes straight out of Hinduism. That comes from a belief in reincarnation. They don't want to eat the cattle, they don't want to eat the rats that are eating their food supply, so it's a religion thing. They have to understand that. It has nothing to do with the ethical treatment of animals, because nowadays you can get completely humanely raised chickens and beef and fish, and your body was designed to eat animals, or else you would not have enzymes to digest the flesh of animals. I didn't make you, I didn't write the book, I won't argue with you. You have enzymes to digest certain things. Jesus ate fish. The Old Testament priests, the Levites, I mean, look at what they were eating in the temple. So that's all we're going to say about that. But the one thing I will say about vegetarianism is I've never met a true one. I've met prostitarians, I've met cerealitarians, I've met breaditarians, I've met noodletarians, in other words, I've met vegetarians who will not eat animals, but they will eat bread, processed stuff, the tofu, they'll eat cereals, and that's why they're sickly. So I don't say I won't treat them because I have anything against them. If they're a vegetarian, they come in and I say, hey, do you have a problem with eating animal tissues? Some of the supplements I'm going to give you will have animal tissues. Do you have a problem? No, not at all. Okay, we're on the same page. But if they come in and they say, no, I will not, they're here for a reason and they're trying to get better, but they're not going to take the advice. So I have to draw a line and say, I'm sorry, I have to send you down the street. There's nothing I can do.
It's usually they don't make it past about 10 years before they start tanking.
They'll see problems way ahead. Yeah. Very rarely will you find like an athlete or somebody who successfully pulls off a vegan or a vegetarian diet. But your body was designed to eat the things it was designed to eat. And if you try to go against that, you're going to run into a wall. So I just won't even deal with it in a way that just saves us time. I've tried to help. I've tried. It just doesn't work. Number 5, whole grain breakfast cereals. These are terrible 10s. Refined flour, sugar, whole grains. It all binds minerals in your GI tract, so there's really no absorption. So, and if you think about bread, when you bake bread or when you toast bread, you're taking sugar, you're taking bread, which is basically carbohydrate, and you're cooking it. What happens when you take sugar and cook it? Say it? Caramelizes it. Caramelizes it. It's burnt sugar. So you've got bread, burnt molecules of sugar floating through your blood. What do you think causes a lot of problems in people, specifically diabetics? With their eyes, their circulation at the end of their capillaries where it turns from an artery to a vein. So you've got problems with cooked, toasted cereals and breads and bagels and pastas and things like that. So that's a whole different, bread is another terrible 10, bread. Specifically whole grain breakfast cereals. Next one, low fat milk. We already talked about that when we talked about the low fat, no fat, or low sugar, no sugar yogurt. The low fat milk is kind of the same thing. If it's low fat, that means they took the fat that was natural out of it and they put in bad stuff, like trans fats. Here's the deal. You were created to eat fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. That's it. That's the only stuff you can digest. So when people come to me and say, I will not eat animals, or I will not eat vegetables, I say, okay, I will not treat you. It's very simple. Can't do it. If you go to a doctor that says he's going to fix you without changing your diet, he's either lying to you or he's stupid. I'm sorry. A drug is not going to fix you. And a surgery to cut out your stomach or your intestines is not going to fix you. You're going to have bigger problems. So if you're going to a physician who should be telling you how to get better, who's not telling you, not having you fill out a food log so they can watch and see what you're doing, what you're eating, your bowel movements, your sleep patterns, how much water you're getting, how can they fix you? Very simple. Agave, margarine, I kind of put those in one thing, agave and margarine. And, here's one too, microwavable, organic or non-organic. I don't give a rip. But the frozen dinners, okay? That's a big one. And then a lot of energy bars and energy drinks. Those are some big, big, big groups of things to stay away from. We included the bread in there. We included some of the dairy. We included some of the soy and the tofu and the things that, so that was big. So some big rules to stay plugged into is if it's made in a plant versus if it comes from a plant. I'll say that again. If it's made in a plant versus does it come from a plant. That should be an indicator to you whether it is, if it came from a plant, it's a man food. If it was made in a plant, it's man food. If it came from a plant, it's God food. Does that make sense? In the good book, you were pulled out of the dust, the dirt of the earth. I didn't write it. I didn't come up with it. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. I just tell the truth, whether people get upset, offended, or Decide not to believe it. I don't care. I just tell people the truth. You were pulled from the dust of the earth. Science can prove it. Creation science can prove it. Archaeology can prove it. History, science, astronomy can prove it. You were pulled from the dust of the earth. I don't talk to or listen to many opinions. I don't care about even my own opinion. I care about truth and facts and what can be proven. I live in a world where opinions get people killed. In my world, facts and truth are the only thing that matter. So that's up to you whether you believe it or not. You were pulled from the dust of the earth. If you read the book a little bit farther down, there were two other things that were pulled from the dust of the earth. One was plants and one was animals. So if you have a problem in your dust of the earth, the original equipment manufacturer parts, in other words, the plants and animals, is the only way to fix it. Everybody get that? Perfect. Rules. If it has a TV commercial, stay away from it. Another rule. If it's white, it ain't right. And the other rule is 3 God foods. The big things. If God made it, use it, eat it. If man changed it, in other words, genetically modified it, stay away from it. And just don't let any food or drink be your God. Very simple, very simple. All right, so any questions on any of that before we move on into closing remarks? 7:05. We blasted through that. How did we get through that so fast? Okay, actually, here, you know what? Does everybody have pens? Let's do the sugar quiz. Pull out everybody with a folder. Pull out your sugar quiz. Pull out, in other words, pull out that green piece of paper right here. That's why we made it green, so you can pull it out real fast. On one side is the sugar quiz. On the other side right here is the 146 reasons why sugar is ruining your health. So if you noticed, some of the things, those big, the terrible 10 that I just went through, when we're talking about many of those things, a lot of it had to do with sugar. A lot of it had to do with the low sugar, low fat, no fat, bread, cake, candy, pasta, noodles, things that turn to sugar in your body. I want to, for instance, if we were to say, if we were to put a disease up here. Now, I didn't fill this in. I just left this up here specifically. I don't want to pull out pens right now. But if we were to write a disease here, this. Remember how we talked about Paul, right? Remember how we talked about there's either too much of something bad or too little of something good. It's the only way disease can start. There's 3 ways. The triune of health tells you that a disease or a breakdown in human tissue can happen from a structural problem, you slip, you fall, you get in a car accident, a chemical problem, which is too much bad stuff or too little good stuff, or an emotional problem. In other words, stress. A lot of stress hits you, death of a family member, divorce, something like that. That's how stress is a cause. And for those of you who've been through my course called the Stress, the Death Cascade, where we lay out every disease and show you how it forms, who's seen that? Has anyone seen that or watched it on YouTube or Facebook? Anybody? Every disease known to man, 10 minutes. We go through every disease in 10 minutes. Go back, watch it on Facebook. If you got 45 minutes one of these days, go to our Facebook page, go to Facebook, and watch Stress, the Death Cascade. It's a class that we do that shows you how the emotional stuff causes problems. So emotional, chemical, or structural. What we're talking about here, this is the chemical side of things. So you put a disease right here, and you've either got nutritional deficiencies. In other words, like Paul, nutritional deficiencies, like not enough good, or you've got too much bad. You've got toxic overload, and over here you've got organ dysfunction. This can cause this. That's why it's connected. Or this can cause this. You get kicked in the spleen. All of a sudden you've got some nutritional deficiencies. Or nutritional deficiencies. You don't have enough vitamins and minerals, so you have cramping and spasms in your muscles. Put anything up here. I want you to just look through this real quick. Follow along with me on a couple of numbers. This is 146 reasons why sugar is ruining your health. If this doesn't motivate you to figure out what's going on with your diet and how to knock some of these things out of it, I don't know what will. Let's just see. 101. Sugar can be intoxicating, similar to alcohol. 102. Sugar can exacerbate PMS. 107. Sugar can worsen the symptoms of children with ADHD. Weird, right? I thought Adderall was the cure. Let's see. 121. Sugar dehydrates newborns. Huh. I wonder if that's why they're colicky and crying. 113. Sugar increases the risk of polio. I thought vaccines took care of that, right? Number 123. Sugar can cause low birth weight babies. So we're talking, that's in utero. That's before they're born. It's affecting the mom, right? How about 134? Sugar causes constipation. 135, sugar causes varicose veins. I find that interesting. 143, sugar causes cancer of the rectum. 144, sugar can cause endometrial cancer. Number 145, sugar can cause renal cell carcinoma, another cancer. Number 146, sugar can cause liver tumors. What's another name of that? What's another way to say tumor? What is that? Cancer. So when we're in a hospital, thank you, when we're in a hospital and we're feeding cancer patients Jell-O and cake and Ensure, right or right?
Get
That's
well
right.
soon.
Huh?
Get well soon.
Right. I mean, this is what I was saying before. People don't come to doctors to get rid of pain. They come to doctors because their life is screwed up. So we sell them back. We give them back control to their life. We give them back the ability to take control of not just their diet, but this information. What if you tell somebody about this place that doesn't advertise, doesn't have a sign, they're on the hill on a major street in Cleveland, and they're changing people's lives, and they've got a whole wall of testimonials out there. On the wall, when you walk down this hall and turn right, it's on that corner, whole wall of thousands of testimonials of people getting rid of crap like this. Let's continue. How about that? 120 or number 28. Sugar can cause gallstones. 29. Sugar can cause heart disease. Remember we talked about the cancer, the heart disease, the stroke, diabetes, the big five, the hypertension, all that earlier? They're all mediated by diet. How? Well, if you've got an organ dysfunction, you're going to have a nutritional deficiency. If you have nutritional deficiencies, bet your bottom dollar, drop the mic, moonwalk off the stage. I guarantee it. Song is over. If you have a nutritional deficiency, you are on your way to having an organ dysfunction. Remember what we talked about before? The little dog that couldn't communicate? There's no behavioral changes. If you have nutritional deficiencies, if you have extra weight, if you can't see, if you are depressed, if you have bowel problems, if you can't breathe, you have asthma, you have allergies, you have headaches. There's no normal headaches. There's no normal bowel problems. Oh, constipation is normal. No. If you have a nutritional deficiency, you are on your way. Are you going to feel a nutritional deficiency? No. If you have a nutritional deficiency, you're on your way to organ dysfunction. And everybody in this room is aging, getting older. You're either moving forward or you're going backward. There is no middle ground. You are either planning ahead and taking control of it, taking control of the nutritional deficiencies and stopping the organ dysfunction. Okay, let's continue. 31. Oh, 30. Sugar can cause appendicitis. So all those organs that got ripped out, your gallbladder and your appendix and all that, all those organs that people just take out random, willy-nilly, because it's 4.6 billion years of evolution and you don't need those organs anymore because there was no creator, hogwash. There's a reason for those things being there. I'll prove it to you. I got no problem. Number 30, appendicitis. Number 31, multiple sclerosis. Number 32, hemorrhoids. Right? The Preparation H commercials on TV didn't tell you that, did they? 33, varicose veins. 36, osteoporosis. 41, sugar can increase your cholesterol. Not that cholesterol is a bad thing, but the bad cholesterol. The damage of your body increases cholesterol. 51, sugar can impair the structure of DNA. If your structure of your DNA gets impaired, what happens to you?
You lose energy.
Cancer. If your DNA gets over producing, and it just won't shut off, what does it produce? You get cancer. Next, 56, atherosclerosis. 55, emphysema. 54, sugar can cause cataracts. Your ophthalmologist never told you that, did they? So I want you to take this home, stick it on your fridge. I want you to go make photocopies of this, hand this out to your friends, give this to your mother-in-law who doesn't believe that you should stop your kids from eating Starburst and Skittles. Give this to your friends, give this to your buddies, give this to your moms in your mom's club or your dads in your dad's club that think that you're a bad parent for not poisoning your kids with toxic sugar. Give this to your friends who think it's child abuse to not pull through McDonald's after school every day to get a Happy Meal. Tell them. Because what will they eventually have? They'll have sick kids. They'll wonder, why is my kid not paying attention? They'll wonder, why is he sick and crying all the time? They'll wonder, why is he depressed? They'll wonder, what's going on? So that I wanted to go through. Now, what you should do too is fill this out today. Come back to one of these classes in a few months. Fill it out again. See if any of this sunk in. Because this quiz right here will tell you if you're addicted to sugar. It's good. I use this in all the classes. It's really, really interesting. So the big thing for you to understand about all this stuff here, and I'll blaze through this question.
Well, did you go over how you score that for everybody who did it? Because some people were asking like how.
Oh, it says right at the bottom. It says if you answered false to more than 4 of the statements, chances are you got a problem. So that's how it's scored. If you answered false to more than 4, then you probably fairly have a sugar problem. I hear people laughing over here.
And we have plenty of Facebook stuff to go over too, just so you know.
Oh, questions and stuff. Okay, well I'll blaze through this. So we always run out of time. Anything can cause anything, like we talk about here. If I were to put gallstones, or if I were to put appendicitis, or if I were to put cancer, or if I were to put depression, you have to understand, you have to take responsibility for what's happening. And you have to go, okay, if I'm doing the same stuff today that I did a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if I'm not pushing forward towards wellness, I'm being pushed back towards illness. If I'm a guy and I take care of my Harley and my boat and my Chevy, but I can't raise my shoulder, I can't raise my hand over my head, and I'm trying to be a hard acre and trying to say there's nothing wrong, you're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself. Why would you not take care of it? You took care of your Harley, you took care of your boat, you took care of your Ford truck. Why would you not take care of your shoulder? You only get one of those. Well, you only get 2 of those, but one for each side. You can get a new truck, you can get a new Harley, you can get a new boat. But people put so much emphasis on that, they don't even understand the simplicity of health because they've been duped into the commercials, the medical field, and not understanding that the drug is not going to fix your problem. It's only going to mask it, and now you've got to fix 2 things. A very, 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 very famous physician from the late 1800s said this. He said, "He who takes a medicine has to heal twice. Once from the disease and once from the medicine." Very famous physician. So if you're not actively going towards better health, if you're not working out or drinking fresh, good, awesome water, or if you're not eating organic, free-range, hippy-dippy, homeschooled foods, or if you're not taking supplements that are based on plant and animal products, if you're not doing something, if you are not getting adjusted and getting your bodies adjusted and your bones moved, which are also attached to ligaments, joints, tissues, glands, organs, veins, arteries, blood vessels, lymph nodes, tonsils, eustachian tubes. If you're not getting adjusted and getting those parts of your body stimulated, you're missing out on the greatest healing profession on planet Earth. Period. I'll prove it to you. I can prove it to you. It's simple. It's the greatest healing profession, oldest healing profession on planet Earth. What is it? The hands of another person. If you're not doing that, you're not doing everything. And if you're not using detoxification methods that are readily available today, just as much as the nutritional upgrades that we use are available today, if you're not using one of these, you're missing out. I'm just here to tell you and let you know. So anything can cause anything. Anything can cause anything. That's one thing you need to know. So in this case, what I'm saying is a nutritional deficiency can cause organ dysfunction. Could it be the food you're eating? Could it be the water you're drinking? Could it be the clothes you're wearing? Yes. Ask any woman who's wearing a wired bra. When they get home and they take that off and there's an indent in their lymphatic tissue and the drainage of their blood can't go from top to bottom or bottom to top and their lymphatic tissue is pressed in. And they're wearing, basically you're wearing an antenna around your heart for, 8 or 10 hours a day? So wired bras are actively hurting people. Now, did you know that before? Probably not, unless you came here, you read some of the books, you read some of the handouts we give you. So anything can cause anything. Could it be from something you're wearing? Yes. Could it be from the phone in your pocket giving off radiation? Could it be anything can cause anything? Don't ever believe anyone that says, oh, that could never cause that. Anything can cause anything. We covered the sugar quiz. You're seeing that sugar then can cause a ton of stuff that you were never aware of that it could cause. So you have to admit that your current health is, more so than anything, it's a reflection of your past habits. Your current health, I'll say it again, is a reflection of your past habits. So you have to take responsibility and say, okay, am I ready to change? If I'm ready to change, well, how, is it affecting yourself, your family, your work, your social life? Like the testimonials that I read you, somebody didn't want to go outside, they didn't want to go travel, they didn't want to go to a friend's house because they were having bowel problems for a long time. Is it affecting yourself? Is it affecting your family? If people come here and they say, well, I just want to get rid of this or that, tell me what's wrong. Why am I asking those questions? Tell me what's wrong. Well, how does it affect yourself? How does it affect your work? How does it affect your social life? How does it affect your family? You can't bend over, pick up your kids. You can't get out of the house. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the reason that they're here. I'm not asking them about your pain. I'm asking what's the pain causing dysfunction in your life. See what I'm doing? People don't go to doctors for pain, they go to doctors, why? Because of what the pain and dysfunction is doing, preventing them from doing, right? That's what you need to talk to your friends, your family, your coworkers, your kids, your grandparents, everybody about. It has nothing to do with their pain or dysfunction. It has everything to do with the fact that they can't play with their kids. Period, right? So if they're ready, if it's affecting that, and they know that if they don't do anything, is it going to get worse? I'll ask you this, Paul. If you don't do anything, is your situation going to get worse, or is it going to stay the same?
I would be a whole lot worse than I am right now.
Right. So what I just said is, if it wasn't getting better, it's getting worse. That's what you just said. So there's that aspect in your mind where you have to go, okay, it's only if I don't do anything, it's not going to stay the same. It's only going to get worse. So then you have to realize, okay, I need to change. How committed am I to change? How committed am I? Well, if you're committed, then we can help. How do we do that? We do that through nutrition response testing. It's a manual muscle test. You guys don't know about this stuff. It's been around for a long time. But a lot of people don't know about it because, well, it's not on CNN and it's not in the Wall Street Journal. So nutrition response testing is a way where we test specifically and find out what's going on in your body at that point in time. Is it a food problem that you're having? Is it some kind of immune problem that you're having? Is it that you're chock full of chemicals? Is it that you were at the Y 5 days this week swimming in chlorine? Is it a chemical? Is it a problem with something you're wearing? Is it a problem? There's a million different problems it could be. Very specific technology that we're able to zero in and figure out what's going on. What does it do? We test your muscles. Your muscles are tied to your organs through what? Nerves. So your body is responding to a specific stimulus and shooting back a response. You ever see people getting x-rays or CAT scans or MRIs? What are those things measuring? They're measuring the energy of the body, right? They take an EKG, it's measuring the energy of the heart. We can do the same thing only by testing your muscles. It's much more specific, it's a heck of a lot cheaper, much more affordable, and it's very much more informational. Because how many of you know people that go to the CAT scans and the MRIs and the blood labs, and they have all these problems, these conditions, these symptoms, and, well, we took a picture of your heart, and we don't see anything on the x-ray. We don't see anything on the CAT scan. We don't see anything on the MRI. How many times?
Until I had a bypass.
Right, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you got an artery blockage. How come you never saw that on all the imaging that you took in the last 12 years? Right, Ma? Going to cardiologists and neurologists every, 3, 4, 6 months, something, and then all of a sudden he's got all these blockages. What were they looking for? You know what I'm talking about too, don't you? You hear it every day, don't
That's
you?
what happened to me.
That's what happened to you. Why would that be? Why would they not be able to see it on these $3,000 magnets that they put you through, the $3,000 trip through a $1.5 million magnet, is what it should be called. They put you through all these scans and all these things, but they can't find this stuff? All of a sudden it's just the blockage just showed up overnight. Think about it. And what were the medical bills like? Oh, and before I ask you the medical bills, what were the premiums before you got the medical bills? Wait. I left out the deductibles and the co-pays and the co-insurance and the prescription costs. I left out all that stuff. Then you got the bills, didn't you? Yep.
I was fortunate. Work provided.
Well, I would have much rather, thanks Lord, but you know what? I would have much rather spent that money on something else rather than just handing it to a corporation that's trying to kill me,
That's right.
right? How many of you do Christian Medishare or Good Samaritan Ministries or whatever? And we just write a check and it goes right to the person paying for their chemo, doesn't it? Goes right to a person paying, might as well just be paying for an abortion, right? Practically. So, screening demonstration that we do, we can show you how this works, and we'll show you in a minute, but let me describe this to you. Design clinical nutrition is exactly what it is. It's design. It's not a protocol for your fibromyalgia and your fibromyalgia and your fibromyalgia. Take this vitamin B12 and take this shot and take this CoQ10. No. It's designed specifically for that person at that precise moment in time, whether they're pregnant, whether they're breastfeeding, whether they have cancer, or whether they're on a feeding tube in a nursing home. It's specific for that person at that point in time. It's designed. It's clinical. That means there's results that are cataloged. That means there's no white paper written by a PhD level pharmaceutical juggernaut working in the hallowed halls of Mayo Clinic, financed by Pfizer, making subsidies on federally funded papers that say, well, this drug is good for diabetes. No. That's not clinical, see? That's in a scientific lab where they can screw the numbers. This is clinical. You walk around that corner right there and you'll see an entire wall of testimonials that say exactly this. It's clinical. That means it's reproducible. Designed clinical nutrition. So it's designed specifically for people in a clinical setting, and it's nutrition. It's the only thing that can rebuild your body because it's the only thing that you are made of. So that's how safe and natural and effective this is. And overall, it's about your overall health. It's not about crushing symptoms. It's not about masking your headache. It's about overall health. In other words, you might come in, you might want to lose 50 pounds. But if your heart's having a hard time, your lungs are having a hard time, and your kidneys are going in reverse, your body is not going to lose a pound. It doesn't want to lose a pound. It wants to focus on rebuilding your heart, your lungs, and your kidneys before you drop 50 pounds. See, that's the problem with a lot of these diets. That's the problem with people going into gyms and getting into resolutions and I just don't know why I'm not losing any weight. I'll tell you why you're not losing weight. There's other parts of your body that matter more than your fat cells to your body. That's why. So real quick, I want to show you all how this works. Hannah, come on.
Have you done any of the nutritional response through DNA testing?
Why would I do that? That's another diagnostic test that would then add a ton of expense to the person. And here's what, nutrition changes your DNA. It's called epigenetics. So why would I do that? It's something that's unnecessary, and it's something that's going to add cost. Whereas instead of putting a bunch of money, I already told you, instead of putting a bunch of money into MRIs and CAT scans, I'd rather put money into nutrition that they take, it goes into their body and fixes their body. The DNA, doesn't matter, because you've already got stuff affecting your DNA. Get rid of the stuff affecting your DNA. The sugar was affecting your DNA. So if I take a blood lab on somebody, and they're already on 12 meds, and they're eating crappy food, am I looking at the real blood? I'm looking at doctored, fake, food-like substance. It's manipulated. It's the same thing with DNA. Same thing. That's a good question.
Well, because I've done, there is a natural doctor that does the DNA testing
I know.
to see the frequencies of the different organs and that kind of
Does he watch the food that you're eating every day, every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
stuff. I mean, he.
Yes or no? Does he watch the
No.
He doesn't watch your breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
No,
Then you're wasting your money.
Right.
Right. Okay. So here is, so you're going to keep your eyes closed, and we're just going to put this here. Well, actually, let's just test you in the clear. Does that make sense, or does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. So hold that right there. So we're just going to test. Good, solid, strong response. Okay? Hold this. The body senses this. The body senses it the same way as when you walk into a room and two people are fighting and you could cut the tension with a knife. You don't feel anything tangible. It's not tangible. Right? Or somebody's lying to you. Right?
Yep.
Or you know that there's something in that box that you don't like. Or you walk past somebody on the street and you feel those ice daggers. That's your subconscious mind picking up on stuff. So let's just see if her body likes this. She doesn't know what it is. She's got her eyes closed. I've got a bunch of different stuff here.
The tree phone.
Okay, so a few different things here. See if any of these. Nope. So let's check this. Nope. Last chance. Huh, you feel the difference there at all? I take that away. Let's go back to this one. And anybody know what this is, by the way? Anybody heard of this?
Yeah.
Patient brought this in. See what it does. Look at that. Nothing. If I go back here to a real something good that you're made out of, and put it here, and your body senses, wait a minute, that's the same dirt I'm made of. How powerful is that? Let's just see. Hold it right there. I think you passed. This is just a supplement. Facebook, it's just a supplement. It's made of dirt. It's made of plants and animals. That's how powerful this is. What is this? This is a prescription. Well, I think it's over the counter now. Anybody know? Do you know?
It's over the counter.
It's over the counter? Yeah. Well, this is a prescription thing given to a woman who was on Ritalin or Retin-A or whatever to dry out her skin because she had acne. And then her lips got chapped for some reason. She couldn't figure out why her lips got chapped. And I said, well, I know why your lips got chapped. They're made of skin. And you're taking Retin-A or retinol to dry out your skin so your lips are skin. Right or right? Is that right? She couldn't figure, didn't know why. No doctor had ever told her. So the dermatologist gave her this. Facebook. Dermatologist gave her this. She used it every day, every day, every day. Finally, we figured out, she brought it in and said, test me for this and see if this is worth anything. And it was just weak. I've never seen a human that tested well for this. This is one of the most toxic things I've ever seen. But I was reading it, right there she was on the table, and I said, this says do not, call Poison Control Center immediately if swallowed. Like, where were you putting this? Right here. Right here. This is medicine. This is the information, the misinformation that you're not being told. Her dermatologist never told her that her skin got dry, her lips got dried out because she was on a drug that dries out your skin. So now you've got another problem called chapped lips. And then you're going to use this to cover up the chapped lips, but this is a chemical poison that you have to call Poison Control Center if you ingest. Does that make sense? Your body senses that and feels it, doesn't like it. Your body senses the whole food nutritional supplement made by Standard Process that's been around for 90 years, that every other nutrition company on planet Earth is trying to copy, and your body senses that. It's a big, big, big change.
This is about to die.
Oh no, we gotta go before my phone dies. All right, so overall, we're safe in overall health. It's safe and natural. There's no safer way to do this. Nothing we do can hurt you. Nothing we do is toxic to you. We use simple tools. My hands, plants, animals, heat, water, light, and electricity. It doesn't get any more ancient, and it doesn't get any safer. So basically, we gotta hand out the surveys. So there's no side effects, there's no interactions. It's good for infants, it's good for babies, it's good for lactating pregnant mothers. It's good for old people in nursing homes, it's good for people in wheelchairs with feeding tubes. There's no way you can beat this. There's no way it can't help you. So, and do we have any questions on Facebook we need to get to?
Yes.
Okay. So, does anybody here as a patient or who's been a patient or is a patient, any testimonial or anything anybody would like to say? I just want to give everybody the opportunity because I've had a couple patients that said, I wish you'd have let me up to say something the other day. I was in class and I wanted to stand up. I thought, well, why didn't you raise your hand? Anybody? Yes, Tammy.
I saw you at 4 o'clock today. My head was all congested. My head is completely clear.
Wow. Right on. I don't know if that was, hey, come up here and say that. It's just you're back there and the microphone's this way, so that's a good testimony. So Tammy, say hi to Facebook. Facebook, this is Tammy. Tammy,
Hi.
this is Facebook. So say what you just said, just so the microphone can pick you up.
So it's 7:32. I was here at 4 o'clock this afternoon. 4:30, 4:45. I had
yeah.
adjustments, and my head is completely clear.
Yes. Right on.
Yeah.
And no decongestants, no antihistamines,
Nice.
adjustment, you did detoxification, and you did nutrition visit. And I think your nutrition stayed pretty much the same,
Mhm.
didn't it? Yeah, so just a few simple adjustments, and you're totally clear 3.5 hours ago.
Yep.
Wow, that's a heck of a testimonial. You're like, sick of man. That's a heck of a testimonial. Anybody else? I just want to give everybody a chance. Danielle, I know you're chomping at the bit.
I can't move.
I'm just kidding, A good excuse though. That was good. That was sharp.
Okay,
So-
should we go cover Facebook?
Yep, let's cover Facebook and then we'll go to then we're out of here.
Alright, so Eddie Jones,
And you all think of your questions if you all have any questions. Yes, Eddie Jones.
he
Yes.
said hello.
Hello. Love Eddie
Um,
Jones. Eddie and Kim, how you doing, brother?
Sherry Deco said, Brett, this is awesome.
Oh, Sherry. She ran the radiology lab in grad school when I got my doctorate. Sherry, thank you. Yes.
Lenny Jones, you guys are awesome.
Lenny Jones. Yes.
Rachel Morrow, she said, even if they tell you the diet matters, this is when you talk about doctors talking about diets,
Oh yeah.
medical doctors. She said, even if they tell you diet matters, they don't tell you correct diet.
That is a great point, Rachel, and I want to address that. That is great. And if you all can fill out your surveys, please.
Does anybody need a pen?
Please fill out your surveys. That is a great point, Rachel. Stay there. Don't go anywhere. Everybody fill out your surveys. Tell us what we're good at. Tell us what we suck at. Tell us what you learned. Tell us what you didn't learn. Tell
New
us what you want to
ideas for
change.
next one.
New ideas for the next one. We're not playing around. We're going to take this in a big way. This stuff's going global. So
and-
we are going online, big time. Social media, Facebook, everything is going to blow up within the next couple of months. Website's getting redone, logos getting redone, everything's getting redone because we're stepping it up. We're stepping up the game a little bit. So we want your advice. We want your input. We want to know what we're good at, what we're bad at. We want to know, and please take into account that we don't have the whole audio video setup going like we normally do. So please give us your input on that and fill out what other classes, other levels of interest, other things that you want to hear. I want to address what Rachel said because that is a great point. Even when they say diet matters, they don't tell you how to change it. Medical schools in the United States do not teach nutrition. The pharmaceutical companies, I'm just telling the truth, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I've got medical people in my family. The pharmaceutical companies own your medical schools. You talk to somebody that was trained as a doctor in India, they don't have that problem. We have that problem here. I'm just telling you the truth. Whether you dig it, whether you don't, I don't care. You got to do with it what you want to do with it. You like it, great. You mad at me, great. I don't care. I'm going to keep continuing to tell people the truth. But here's another fact. They don't know anything about diet. They just weren't trained in it. I'm not throwing them under the bus. I'm just telling you they weren't trained in diet. They'll say, watch your diet. They'll say, eat healthy foods. They'll say, cut down on this or cut down on that. They'll say, but really the only things that medical doctors, and I have many friends who are, and they would agree, the only things that they'll tell you about food are what foods not to eat, depending upon the drugs that you're consuming. Is that right or is that right?
They don't always tell you that either.
Well, and they don't always tell you that either. Grapefruit juice and anti-hypertension drugs or, cholesterol or clotting drugs and vitamin K, green leafy vegetables. Think about it. They're going to give you a toxic pharmaceutical, petroleum-based chemical toxin to the human body that kills people in large doses. But they're going to tell you in the same breath, don't eat green vegetables. That's criminal. It's criminal. I'm here to tell you, whether you dig it or whether you don't dig it, that's criminal. And they're doing the same thing to your kids. They're doing the same thing to your grandparents. They're doing the same thing to your aunts and uncles. They just don't know what to tell you about diet because they've never been trained. The only thing they know is what foods not to eat when you're on a certain drug. Is that right or is that right? Good. What else? Rachel, great point. Great point.
Jamie Johnson said hi, checking in.
From Washington, yes.
Uh,
Yeah, we're all over the place. Share this, like it, send it. Spread this out to people. And folks, here in a couple months, when we've got big studio action going on and we've got thousands of people watching and there's ebooks and crazy stuff, online learning platforms and things going crazy, you're going to wish you were in on the ground floor, so share this. Tell everybody about us. Take that, Josh Axe. Take that, Mercola. I'm coming from you.
Ashley Grimes said y'all are the best.
Love me some Ashley Grimes. Questions? Anything else? And y'all think of your questions too.
Chad Marlowe also said something.
Chad Marlowe, quite a testimony. Chad Marlowe, great
And then
testimony.
Jamie Hayes said, I love your colors. Kim Jones said, so thankful for divine design. One more.
Right on.
You're
I'm thankful for Kim Jones.
You're gonna love this one. So, Jimmy Scaringi.
Jimmy Scaringi.
He said, miss you and miss the ladies.
Right.
Those live or watching, this man speaks. You are blessed. He's a tremendous healer.
Hallelujah. Jimmy Scaringi. Jimmy does what we do with the nutrition response testing. And I'm actually a little bit jealous of Jimmy, and I'll tell you why. Jimmy's a certified personal trainer. He's trained in nutrition response testing the same as I am. I actually think Jimmy is one of the most Italian people you're ever going to meet. And he lives in upstate, or I guess Buffalo, Albany?
Oh, and also I have some...
New York? But anyway,
Buffalo.
Jimmy, Buffalo, yeah. And Jimmy is a certified personal trainer. He does the nutrition response testing just like what we do. And while he has a wonderful compliment, Jimmy, and thank you so much. But he can say things in certain circles however he wants. And I'm a little jealous because if I said the same thing, people would throw me in a FEMA camp or take away my license. Especially with Facebook and Pinterest getting the way they are. So Jimmy, I thank you, and I say the same back to your patients, and thank you for watching, man. And I love this guy, and he's helped me in great ways, and he's a wonderful practitioner. So if y'all know anybody in Buffalo, let's send him Jimmy Scaringi, my favorite Italian. Yes.
And then Chip Bennett said,
Yes.
does
Chip
the
Bennett.
Kalamazoo Coffee House count as the ground floor? Love you, brother.
Yes, it does. Why? Wow. I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan, so yeah, that goes back. Chip Bennett, nice to hear from you, man. Yeah, that is the ground floor. That was pre-ground floor. That was below the foundation, brother. Yes. Yes, the Kalamazoo Coffee House. Cool. So any questions here in this room? And then we're going to, the call to action is this. You got to decide what you want to do. You're here in this room. We're going to wrap it up.
Yeah,
You got to,
it's
okay,
about to die.
we're going to wrap it up. I got to go, Facebook. My phone's going to die. But thank you for watching. Spread this. Like it. Share it. Fax it. Send it. Rename it. Like it. Thumbs up it.
Let's give a
Send
woohoo.
it to everybody. And we're going to sign off with a big woohoo. So Facebook, thank you. Dr. Brett Spradlin, Divine Design Natural Health. Send your friends and family here. We're saving lives ahead of time. Woo!